Jason, thank you for joining us today on Diary of an EHO. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Just start by telling the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Jason Hall. I'm a environmental health officer by trade. I've been in the industry for over 25 years.
Wow.
Worked at home, worked abroad, worked in multiple industries, and I'm very fortunate to be a chartered fellow of the Chartered Institute of Environmental Health as well.
Amazing. So what led you to a career in environmental health?
Well, I'm of the age of a life of grime. Yeah, so the famous Mr. Trebus. So when I was younger, obviously that was on the TV. At the time that was on, a job came up at my local council. I was working for the council at the time, and it came up, so I applied for it. It was just interested because of the craziness that I saw in that program. Really, you could see it wasn't a 9 to 5 day job, and that just gripped me
That's what appealed to you.
into the industry. Yeah, yeah,
Excellent. And then you worked for a number of authorities in the UK before
correct.
moving your career overseas.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that transition?
So the first 10 years of my career, I worked in local authority. So I worked at a number of different authorities around the UK. Felt that I'd got as far as I could really within local authority. Loved every minute of it. It was challenging, especially challenging due to ever dwindling resources and
Mm.
numbers of people, and then but I felt that I'd taken it as far as I could, and was always interested in transitioning into something different. So whilst I was working in management, I continued to upskill myself in health and safety particularly, and I was always interested in oil and gas and the offshore industry because where I'm from there's a strong offshore background. Um, and it was just a chance meeting with someone that led to me getting an interview for a health and safety manager position, which I grabbed with both hands and took. And it was just very interesting to find out during that interview how little the other industries actually understood about what environmental health was and what we did and what our degree actually contained. It was a really interesting interview, full stop from start to finish, as to I was educating them as
Mm.
much as they were interviewing me. So it was yeah, that
So
was
what would you
interesting.
say would be, so in terms of your academic background
Mm-hmm.
and work experience of about a decade at this point,
Mm-hmm.
most of your skills would have been transferable, but
Yeah,
it's just the title environmental health where didn't the employers didn't see it as something that they could utilize your skills and background. Is that
no,
what it
no,
was?
it was true. I'd actually applied numerous times through job portals for the oil and gas industry, but I wasn't even getting to the stage where I was getting an interview because my degree didn't flag up what they wanted it to flag
Mm.
up. They wanted health and safety, they wanted environmental. Environment was only a tiny part of it then, it was all mainly health and safety. So to actually go into the interview and explain that the environmental health degree is, a quarter of it is health
Health
and
and
safety.
safety.
It's there's
Probably
a, there's
more than a
it's well,
quarter
yeah, it's
because
a
even the
huge.
housing element has health and
Yeah,
safety, food, health and
of
safety. So
course. Yeah, and working in the oil and gas industry, especially offshore, you're on a platform in the sea, and you've got your environmental issues when it comes to air release, when it comes
of course, yeah.
release to water. You've got a food, a kitchen on there, and food suppliers coming daily. You've got accommodation blocks as well as the actual health and safety on the work site. So it's
So
literally
you're probably more
it's
rounded
environment.
than the health and
Yeah,
safety experts.
exactly. So they were hiring people that were just health and safety experts, whereas the environmental health degree covered everything as a whole. But as I said, the hiring managers had never heard of the environmental health degree, so it was one of those.
Wasn't looking at a candidate
Yeah,
pool.
yeah,
I'm missing out on a massive opportunity.
absolutely. It was a light bulb moment for them. It was like, how many people can you get us, with this degree? And it's kind of, tell me how many you want and I'll get them for you. It was.
So did you open the door up for lots of other people?
I have,
Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's other people who've transitioned into it. So yeah. And like I say, my first role was working in the oil and gas industry. Was working in the southern North Sea, so it was offshore platforms. It was a rotation, and it went. It was a totally. It was a game changer. It was
very different from local authority
to
premises inspections, right?
absolutely, yeah. To say I was out of my comfort zone would be an understatement. It was like you went from, like you say, either in my management role at the council, sitting behind a desk doing what I did every day, to the inspection side of things and being out and about, to being in this platform in the middle of the North Sea, for 2 weeks at a time. And everything that you see there is huge. It's just like everything you see, you walk
I
past
can
things
only imagine.
and yeah, it's all there, and you've boats floating alongside, dropping off the food supplies and all this. It was just massively outside of my comfort zone. But as I transitioned into it, I had some excellent mentors that helped me along the way. Who we all learnt off each other, and like I say, as I was teaching these guys the environmental side of things and my degree, they were teaching me the offshore industry, and they were teaching me massive mechanical problems and things that were going on, and all the lifting operations and all the massive health and safety
Oh
issues. And
wow.
so we were learning off each other, and it just kind of worked really really well. And one of the key reasons that I was hired in the first place for that was the fact that there was issues out there, and it was the health and safety executive, they go out, they inspect these platforms. There was no problems on this platform in particular, but it was a case of I knew the regulator.
Mm.
So I'd been the regulator, so it was a good position to go in there that you should be able to, in theory, keep the regulator at bay if you've worked in the as the
Regulatory
regulator. So yeah,
industry, yeah.
so it was
Because it's the other side of the fence, isn't it?
exactly, yeah. So it all just worked really smooth and really well. And I was there for, I guess, just over a year and a half. But leading up to that, I'd applied as well to I think before I started in the Southern North Sea, I'd also applied to go and work abroad. Just after seeing an advert, I think it was actually an EHO, to go and work in Saudi Arabia. And I had an interview, and there was a long gap between the interview and then being offered the job. And I think I did, like I said, I did just over a year and a half in the Southern North Sea, and then went to work abroad.
And what was your role abroad?
So my role abroad, it flipped back into environmental health, so it wasn't solely safety. So again, it was doing a bit of everything.
But in the Middle East, environmental health is not as environmental health as we know it here, right?
It wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It is now. It's that they've got some phenomenal people out there now. Whether they're expats or whether they're locals or whether they're expats training the locals.
Mm.
The local regulatory authorities, the Saudi Food and Drug Authority, amazing.
Mm.
Their technology now and their understanding and of environmental health is out of this world.
But does it cover environmental health in the Middle East cover same as it does here, or?
It does, but again, in different parts of the industries or whatever industry you're working in, it can be carved up differently.
Sure.
So you can have individual like health and safety departments and some ones that just focus on air, water, land, or holistic. So it's a mix.
Mm.
But yeah, it's definitely come on huge amount
In the
in the
last
10
10
years that
years,
I was
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Amazing.
it was and that's down to the country developing itself, it's a phenomenal place
Yeah,
to be and work.
I can concur. Haven't recently visited.
Yeah.
So if what advice would you give to someone who's either studying recently graduated in environmental health, wants to do something, you know, beyond sort of local authority work? How would they go about making
Yeah,
that transition? Or would you advise they get some local UK experience first?
it's good to get definitely good to get UK experience first, because if I'm biased, I think we're the best at it. So it's good to get that under your belt, and continue with the training and upskilling yourself, and you'll always stand in good stead to go abroad and take those skills. Everything's transferable. When I look at it, of the transitional skills that we have, as environmental health officers, it's the problem is everybody thinks that an environmental health officer is a food inspector or you deal with rats, and that's what
The general
the
consensus
it's
is
the
that,
general
it's,
consensus
yeah,
because that's what's on TV.
yeah.
That's the bits that they show on the TV. But there's so much more to it than
Mm.
that. And like I say, then when you look at that, it's all local authority, but it's
But
not
how
all
do you
local
think
authority.
that environmental health professionals like yourself can help change that narrative?
I don't. I mean, education, things like this. I mean, I did a couple of years ago. I did a careers talk for Liverpool John Moores University with Graham Mitchell. So for his final year students, so myself and a colleague did a online chat with them. We talked through our careers and what we're doing now, like say how we got to where we were and how to look outside the box and think outside the box when it comes to your career. Don't just ring fence yourself into one corner. Don't just focus on one thing.
No.
That was the beauty of environmental health. Was it wasn't just, I mean, everybody specializes in something eventually,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just one field, and it was,
Options are limitless, aren't
yeah,
they, when you first graduate? And then the further you go in your career,
yeah. Then you
then you
start to
start to
specialize,
specialize. Absolutely.
and yeah. And so I think it's all about education. I think as well as doing podcasts like this and getting things out there online.
That is the
Um,
world that people are more familiar with now,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
The virtual
It'd be
world.
good to see the CIH doing the same thing.
Mm.
Getting things out there and making the career a bit more attractive
Appealing, yeah,
because like I say,
absolutely.
people don't know what else is out
It,
there other than that local authority job.
yeah.
Which I came from local authority. I would again wholeheartedly tell
But when you
recommend
started
people
in
to
local
do.
authority, did you, because you worked in local authority for about 10 years,
Yeah,
it is during that 10 years you decided or looked at other options and where your skills were transferable and
yeah,
where your qualifications were transferable.
hmm
Unfortunately, not a lot of people see that as an option because they don't know that they can, utilize the skills. Once they're in the local authority setting,
hmm
they progress in their careers and maybe move local authorities, and that's something that maybe the CIH can help promote.
hmm
That the options that are open to them.
Yeah, and like I said, when it came to me, I started to upskill myself in health and safety. It
Hmm.
was something that I always had an interest in, the accident investigation side of
Mm.
things, taking things through to court and seeing an end and making a difference.
Absolutely.
Actually putting something in place that's going to stop something from happening again is a good feeling. And getting a result at the end of it, or a successful prosecution or something, all of those things it's makes you feel good.
Of course it does. Yeah, especially
You've
when you
done a
see
job and
it,
you've made a
you've done your
difference.
bit and you've made a difference.
Yeah, and like I say, it's one of those things that once I started to look at the health and safety side of things, it's like where does this move into? What can I move into? What
Mm.
different industries is there that will take this?
Mm.
And yeah, and like I say, being from the East Coast, it was one of those things that there's a big offshore oil and gas industry there. It was a natural progression,
Transition,
really. Yeah,
progression. Yeah.
natural. Yeah.
So, with your insights from both the Middle East and the UK, do you think that UK environmental health professionals can learn things from their peers in the Middle East and vice versa?
Yeah. The people I worked with in Saudi Arabia, different class. They're like I say, but one of the biggest things in working abroad is you have to be very open-minded, very patient, understanding. You need to understand as multicultural. Like I say, there must have been 15, 20 different nationalities, working in these companies that I was with, and it was it was such an experience.
Mm.
But the local guys that are there, they just want to be the best. They've got this drive to be the
Ethic is
best.
different, is it?
It's their ethic. That everything about them is different. And we're there as expats to pass on our knowledge, help, guide them, mentor them, and I was fortunate enough to mentor two fantastic young professionals who both became the first and second Saudi Arabians to nationals to um, become fully qualified through the CIH and full members.
Amazing.
And one has now gone on to write a book. And that they're just phenomenal individuals. They're driven, but they're driven in different ways. And it was one of those things that I used to love watching them, watch how they think, what's their thought process, how do and they were just a joy to work with,
Mm.
and yeah.
So, in terms of your work practices, because by the time you'd gone over there to the Middle East, you had local authority experience and worked offshore. So, Jason, from your working in the Middle East and working in the UK, what do you think that in terms of practices that we can learn from our counterparts and vice versa?
I think having the right team around you, definitely.
Hmm.
Um, like I say, when working in the Middle East, it was a case of always making sure that you had the right team around you so you knew what people's strengths and their weaknesses were and who was good at what, and it helped us to deal with so many major
Mm.
things that went on out there. And like I say, it's one of those things that as time progressed and the teams upskilled and we got people coming back from learning in the UK, that everything got stronger and everything got and the working practices became solid. And there's such a focus now as well on work-life balance,
Mm.
on health and well-being, which has come on leaps and bounds over the last 2 or 3 years as well, which is adding to the work practices out there. It's making them so much better. People happy outside of work, they're happy inside of work, and vice versa. And there's a real big push on that out there with both frameworks, with policies, with technology as well. And it's a big thing in the Middle East where there's some huge projects going on.
Mm.
Like, as I said earlier on, multinational people, everyone's working away from home. It's
Different
not it's
ethnicities,
not easy,
different
yeah, yeah, yeah,
backgrounds.
yeah, and mixing everybody together and expecting everybody to be happy, it doesn't just work like that.
No,
And that's been something that was really interesting to see and see the companies really pull together to make sure that there was more investment
mm.
in that. So
That must have been amazing to see. Going sort of leading on from that, so environmental health is there are environmental health issues worldwide, and each in my sort of 27 years experience of working in talent acquisition within environmental health, not only do local authorities operate independently, but counties, uh, boroughs, regions, and the UK, it just operates. Everyone seems to be operating independently.
mm.
What do you think that as a profession, environment and health could do to kind of work more collaboratively together?
It'd just be nice if everybody aligned, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
every country, not that, yeah, so everybody's working off the same sheet.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could use COVID as a perfect example of that, as how everybody dealt with it
Mm.
differently. It's one of those that if everybody's working aligned, everybody's sharing ideas, everybody's, then you don't get this. But like you're
But
absolutely
how
right.
would you? How could you share resources and knowledge and legislation, for example?
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing we did with the UK. We
Yeah.
took the legislation over there.
Yeah.
So we took the UK legislation over there and molded it,
Adapted it to
adapted it
yeah,
to,
yeah,
to,
yeah.
to the environment, and the place that you're at, and yeah. But again, it's like every country's legislation is different. So the US is different to the UK, and the UK is different to and it's one of those that why are we not all the same? Why are we
Mm.
working? Why are we working on? I mean, if you used food for it, why are we working off different temperatures for this and in this country and that country? Why is everything not always aligned exactly the same? And it's just like I think if you share information quicker, you solve
Mm.
problems quicker.
Well, with the internet, there's no reason not to
No,
instantaneous sharing of information,
exactly,
isn't there?
exactly. We can all talk around the world, at the
And
touch of a
even
button now.
laboratory results, samples, it's almost
Yeah,
instantaneous now, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, do you think environmental health professionals, whilst studying, should have some element of their course where they can incorporate a more of a global mindset or opportunities that are upon graduation? It's not something that UK professionals generally think about,
No.
or it's not something that's taught.
No, it's not. And when you look at other qualifications, like if I look on the safety front, you look at NEBOSH. NEBOSH do an international diploma and a
Mm,
national diploma.
they do, yeah.
Okay, and it's environmental health should be the same.
Yeah.
You should be looking at or put something into the coursework that has an international flavour, or you know maybe look at international placements in gap years. Again, don't just go to the local
Local
authority
authority, yeah.
to tick the boxes. You know, is there somewhere else that you can go internationally, anywhere, Europe, Middle East, anywhere.
Mm.
But yeah, there should be an international element with it because, like you say, everything's so fast moving now. We're not just stuck here. We can be in the Middle East in 6 hours' time. We can be somewhere else the same day.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, I think there should
A
be
lot of those international students that do come over here to do postgraduate qualifications, masters, for example, um, struggle to get employment, or they can't get the sponsorship to get employment
yeah,
here, which is quite sad considering how much of a shortage there is.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And just touching on the international experience again there, when I worked in offshore,
Mm-hmm.
one at the start of the day I could be in UK waters and I could be a 10-minute flight to a different rig to go and help out, and then that would be in Dutch waters. So
Mm.
then you're working on you're working on different legislation. So you're straight away having to flip into a different country's
Mindset, yeah.
register and on the same day and then
Yeah.
back again. And it's yeah, without that knowledge and understanding, that's a tough thing to, that slows things down if you're not up to speed with that. So yeah, I think there should be some kind of connected international.
And in terms of leadership, because it's a different leadership in the UK is not going to look the same as leadership in the Middle East, is it?
No, exactly.
Or in Europe even.
No, and again, leadership is you've when you're going into these other countries, other cultures, you've just got to be very open, very diverse, very patient, very understanding. You're talking different cultures, different religions, different, everything is different. And
The Middle East is a huge melting pot, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, and but what a place to work, what a
Yeah.
place to wake up every day.
Yeah.
It's and again, you're talking, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot. But yeah,
It
it's
can get to 50s in the summer, right?
it can, yeah, yeah. And it's like I say, but it's a great place to work, And if anybody who's watching or listening to this ever gets the opportunity to go and work abroad or go into a different industry that's outside your comfort zone, just do it.
I mean, I honestly can say in 27 years of working in environmental health talent acquisition, I can probably name 12 people that have made taken that step personally, that I know, that I've placed, and then they've moved on. Usually they may move from local authority to the private sector or different local authorities, but to make that leap, there's not enough people doing it. I just don't think there's enough of a gateway to people, well, for people to know their skills and knowledge is transferable, and there are options out there for them.
And I
I think
think,
a lot of people would love to do it.
yeah, and I think 10 years ago when I did it, I think it was a massive decision. You're leaving your families, your friends, everything that's easy for you on a day-to-day basis to a different world.
Had you been there before?
No, no, no.
So
And it wasn't what I expected when I got there either. But yeah, it was. I'm so glad I did it. It shaped me as a professional. Along the way, I met people that changed my life. Both personally and professionally. And
so when you look for work again in the UK, are there practices that you'll be implementing?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I'll bring home some. Yeah, a huge amount of knowledge and experience in having worked on some of the biggest projects in the world. To take that to a lower level in the UK would be phenomenal, because you've got so much experience to pass on. And yeah, yeah.
We spoke a little bit about the narrative around environmental health and the negative connotations. Do you think it's the same globally?
Yeah.
So what do you think, apart from education and things like podcasts and that type of thing, what can be done to change the narrative to make environmental health a more appealing career?
I just think from the very beginning, like you said at the start of this, you go into schools, people don't know what environmental health is. Why don't they know? I guess we popped up in COVID for a little while,
Yeah,
and then just disappeared again. That was the point where it should have been.
the momentum should have kept
This
going.
is what we
Absolutely.
do, but this is not all we do. We
No.
do X, Y, and Z as well. And there should have been such a push at that
Mm.
stage
Because the interest was probably highest it's ever
yeah,
been around
yeah,
that time
yeah, exactly.
because of track and trace and
Yeah,
public health.
yeah. It's
Uh,
just everybody using transferable skills at that time,
yeah,
of how they could get involved and how you could help in a time of crisis. Um, so it was, to me, I'm not going to say anyone missed the boat, but we should have got, as an industry, it should
mm.
have been pushed a lot
It's that.
harder as to who we are and what we do, and then you'd get a bit more interest out of schools.
It's sad, really, because a lot of the events that we attend, when we speak to young people, just have no clue what environmental health
Mm.
is. And there is representation from other industries, such as the armed forces,
Hmm.
and where people are actually there in person to speak to the young people at these events to see
Hmm.
what it's like to be there. And I think if environmental health could start doing that more, or environmental health professionals could actually talk to young people before they're making their career choices,
Hmm.
that would really help them sort of, decide whether it's a career for them or not.
Yeah, and yeah, make it more exciting.
Absolutely.
Make it like say, make it. Tell the true story, of what we really do. Don't let the world continue
Hmm.
to think that all we do is inspect food premises and
No,
chase rats.
no, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally, well, one of the questions I ask when we go to schools, oh, what do you know about environmental health? A lot of blank faces, and then if if a hand does go up, it's usually, oh, environmental health officers clear out over hoarding, or they deal with cockroaches.
Yeah.
And they don't really see that. And also, with you mentioned about working in the Middle East, a very diverse team.
Mm.
Um, Sadly, it's the environmental sector as a whole is the second least diverse in the UK,
Mm.
only after farming. And a lot of young people don't see that role models or people within environmental health that look like them.
Hmm.
Even though they're serving their communities, the people serving the community don't look like them. And some professionals have really taken a stance for pushed and have gone to temples and mosques and
Hmm.
this type of or events where there's going to be minorities, students, potential students, and actually interact with them on a one-to-one basis. And I've seen
Hmm.
that a lot. Police, for example, look how they, again, used to be one of the least diverse professions.
Hmm.
Now it's changing, and middle, even senior management, there's people are coming through the ranks,
Yeah.
and it's representing the communities that they're serving. And sadly, environmental health is still lagging quite far behind in that.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right on that front, but like I say, it's not pushed. It's not
No,
pushed, and then the more it's pushed and put up as something that's interesting, and the age olds that no 2 days are the same.
no,
That's right. No 2 days are the same
ever.
ever.
Yeah.
No two houses are the same. No two food premises are the same. No two incidents are the same. It's such an interesting career,
And it's
and
an advisory as well as enforcement. It's different approaches as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
So we spoke a lot about the last 10 years. What about the next 10 years? What excites you most about environmental health, both in the UK and overseas?
I think from overseas, it's the people that I worked with, the people coming through.
Mm.
They want to change the world. Yeah, literally. And I believe they will in many ways, specifically
Amazing.
in Saudi. Um, the technology that's coming through, there's some amazing technology, whether it's for health and well-being, whether it's for food safety, and there's such an investment in it in the Middle East. Remote temperature logging with the AI generators for stress, did all sorts of stuff, and they're really on board with it. So that doesn't take away any human element,
No, but
complements it.
it does. It does. It
Yeah,
just absolutely. And I think in the UK there's a bit of a slower uptake when
yeah.
it comes to AI
Hmm.
because people almost see it as a threat.
They do, but I also don't think, especially when you look at local authorities and so, I don't think the money's there.
No.
I don't think the funding's there for it. Whereas in private industry, there's a lot more money and around for it. So I think that's exciting to see what else comes. What else can come to help the industry to make
Mm.
it better. Because like I say, I don't think it takes away the human element. I just think
No.
it makes it better and more
More
streamlined.
streamlined. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So I think it's I think it's exciting times. Yeah.
Excellent. And so, if just to sort of start wrapping up, in terms of what message would you like to for the listeners to take away from this episode?
I think what I touched on at the start, just don't think that environmental health is boring.
Hmm.
Don't understand what it is. Don't think that all you're going to do is sit behind a desk every day in a local authority, because there's so much more to it
So
out there.
much more, yeah.
Like I say, that doesn't put local authorities down in any way, shape, or form, because it's
That's more
where
of a
you'll learn
perception
your
than the actual
yeah,
as well.
that's where you'll learn your trade.
Yeah.
And you'll meet some amazing people that will help you along the way. But yeah, as I said, if you get the opportunity, like I say, there's abroad, there's different industries. There's you mentioned a minute ago, there's the armed services. They're always advertising
They
for
are.
environmental health, and what a great career. You know,
And
go
they
into that and
actually
travel
put
around the world.
and they put
Um,
people through training as well.
yeah, yeah, and you travel around the world, and then you come out of that with
Qualifications.
amazing qualifications, which are then transferable again.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's I think the takeaway is just that um, we need to make it more
More
interesting,
visual,
more visual,
more out there, and make more just more appealing.
understanding.
Yeah, because it is a very appealing career. People just don't understand
Yeah,
it or don't. So it's awareness, isn't it? More
yeah,
than anything, there's just the lack of awareness,
yeah.
and then a lot of people, certainly within the food profession, have come from working in kitchens and stuff, and they go back to education because they've encountered environmental health professionals in their line of work, and they take an interest that way. So it will be good to see student intakes to the levels they were 27 years ago. When I first started working closely with university, lecture halls used to be full. People
Mm.
used to be sitting on stairs when I used to do careers events, and each year it's been dwindling and dwindling.
Yeah. Like I say, I did a couple of career talks,
Yeah.
like I say, and
I'll
they were really
actually get
good.
you involved in some of the
Yeah,
stuff you're doing.
they were really good.
Yeah.
And the uptake from it, and myself and my colleague, we got some good feedback from it. We got lots of questions,
Mm.
loads of emails outside of it
Mm.
to ask us, how did you get there? How did you do that? How did you? And so it was nice to be able to give a bit back
Because we
to the
always
final years
involve
guys. Yeah.
environmental health professionals. Just by default, it's been people with UK local authority experience that we
Mhm.
bring. So it would be nice for students to have a different perspective on and sort of open their eyes to what the options that are out there.
Mhm. And again, in the Middle East, I know that they're always looking. So when they've done their degrees, they're always looking for work placements in the UK, for
Mm.
1 year work placements in the UK, and that was really hard actually to try and get these guys into a
You,
local authority. They made it so difficult to
mm.
get in. Private businesses, they would go in, but it wouldn't really
Because they wouldn't
tick
be
the
able to,
boxes
yeah,
they needed.
exactly.
But yeah, they were we were wanting to send them there for a year, everything paid for and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was just
And just
really
get all elements of the
yeah,
environment. Right,
yeah,
okay.
just to give them a full view of everything, which basically put into perspective what they learn at uni. But got them to actually do that and then decide what they wanted to do from there.
Yeah,
Um,
and again, a lot of people are doing the degree without doing the sandwich element,
yeah,
which doesn't really prepare them.
no, it doesn't.
Because when we're working with employers, it someone with a placement is going to get, even with say a third class
Yeah.
degree compared to someone with the first class, the
Mhm.
person with a placement is always going to get the role
Yeah,
because they've got that practical experience.
yeah, yeah. And like I said earlier on, there's people come out of uni very different.
Mm,
There's some that love inspecting, there's some that love the academic side of things. There's some people that are brilliant at writing
mm.
papers and researching, and there's people that just want to be out there in the field. That everyone's different.
But that's the beauty of environment health, is just that you'll be doing all
You can do
elements
all
of
of
that,
that.
right?
Yeah, you can do all of that. It all works. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for budding environmental health professionals?
I've had a good career out of it. It's worked for me, and I'll continue with it for a good few years yet. I'm
Excellent.
not quite ready to retire yet. So yeah, if you get the chance to come into environmental health, do it. If you get to go abroad, definitely do it.
Fantastic. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching Jason's amazing podcast today. If you'd like to see more exciting episodes, please follow Buckingham Blueprint Podcast, available on all platforms. Thank you.